Hello everyone, welcome to AB+Production Studios. I am Bowman, and today I have the pleasure to have in our studio Mr. N.M. Davis Jr., author, speaker, and educator.
Yes. Thank
Welcome.
you for having me. Thank you for having me. I'm honored that you have me on your show.
How are you feeling today?
I'm amazing. I feel great.
How do you feel the most of the time?
Most of the time I feel great. I feel amazing. I wake up with gratitude. Before I even open my eyes, I'm just saying thank you for at least 5 different things that I can think of. Usually it's my children, my family, my health, I think of 5 different things that I'm grateful for. Living here, I love it out here. It's a beautiful place. And I wake up with gratitude in my heart, and it starts my day off great. So.
Well, I found out so many great things about you from the time that we spent together. So I wanted to bring you here in the studio and talk about one of the books that you gave it to us, which we really appreciated.
All right.
One of the books that I really feel like it needs to be talked about more.
Okay.
It's one that you've been written, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Poems of Value, right here. And I would like to know what inspired you to write this book.
Well, what inspired me to write the book is when I was younger, in school, they had the posters. They had all of these positive posters and positive affirmations around the classroom. And a lot of those stuck with me and inspired me as I was growing up. And I didn't see a lot of those, today, going in different classrooms. And I was looking for a book that had those positive affirmations and just positive messages for children. I didn't see one, and so I decided to write one.
So this book has been written is more geared towards children or adults? Because to me, I read it with my son. Well, not all of it, but we're going through because I'm having a little hard time getting to dive into the topics, which are very, very good,
right?
Easy. But tell me about the purpose of the book. So, this one particular, Poems of Value.
Okay, so the purpose of Poems of Value is to help parents do just what you're doing, is to help them have conversations and instill positive character values within their children so that they can open up that dialogue and so that their parents can teach them more about integrity, excellence, just good character virtues that they can use to grow up and help them be positive and productive adults.
So that's what inspired you to write this. You're looking for something to read with your children, and you figure out that there's not much out there, and then you can kind of come up with this concept.
Right. Yeah. So my children, we used to always do little songs and poems and stuff as they were growing up. We would talk in song form, but when it came to talking to other children about them, it was hard for me to have that conversation with other people's children and teach those different mentorship tactics and characteristics, because unless you know them, then it's hard to open up about issues like this.
Well, yeah, and what I loved about it is that the topics are very deep, and feelings and emotions that are not quite discussed with parents and children.
Right.
Do you feel like that's something that people should discuss more?
Absolutely. I believe that if you can understand how you're feeling, and if you can teach your children to understand how they're feeling, then they can evolve better. They can grow better into more productive and happier adults.
And I would even also helped me is connecting more with Gavin.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a beautiful thing. And especially during this time now that we have during COVID, we are spending more time at home with our families, and parents can turn off the television and use the book to open up that dialogue and teach their children something and have meaningful conversations with them.
So where can we find Poems of Value today? I know you have it on Amazon.
Right now it's on Amazon. You can go to N.M. Davis Jr. Poems of Value on Amazon and pick it up there.
Okay. Everyone, if you haven't checked this book out, I highly recommend it. It's amazing. I would go and I wanted to read the topics, and Gavin and I, we read Believe and Achieve. And it was very very helpful because the way you wrote it, it's such a simple, and you have those animations. Tell me about the animations. Are those the children that actually drew?
Yes, the animations. That was my favorite part about the book. Forget about the poems are nice, you know. Yes. That was my part. But what really inspired me and kept me going with the book is that the children in my life and children from the Big Brothers Big Sisters organization of Northwest Florida did the drawings and the pictures. And once they did the drawings, from reading my poems, they drew what they felt. And I wanted to take those drawings and put them in the book so that it would inspire other children that they could do big things as well. You know, and so now all of those children are published illustrators in a book.
And that's what's amazing about. So guys, I will highly encourage you to check this book on Amazon. Again, I'm going to show it to you again. Poems of Value, written by N.M. Davis Jr., author, speaker, and educator.
Yes.
So now that we kind of talked about Poems of Value a little bit, let's hope the audience goes and check it out because I really think we don't want to ruin the whole surprise of what's actually in it.
All right.
So you being an author, for how long have you been an author?
Well, this is my first book.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. This is my first one, but it's definitely not the last. So I'm working on 2 other books right now. The next one is called Always Be Becoming, and it's in editing right now. And then I'm also working on another called Perfection is the Enemy of Progress. And
wow, I love that title.
Yes.
I need a copy of that one when you're ready. Like, can you say it again?
Perfection, the Enemy of Progress.
Yes, I love that. How did you come up with a concept on that?
Well, as a perfectionist, and I'm having the same problem while I'm writing the book. So it's going through is that you want things to be so perfect. You want things to be right. And a lot of times you're afraid to let everybody else have a product that you feel is not perfect. You know, it's not, it could be better. It could always be better. It could always be better. And yes, any and everything could always be better. But you know what? Forget about your flaws. It's not about you. It's about the product. Let the product fly and you will get better every time, over and over again, the more that you continue to do whatever it is that you're doing.
Is perfection attainable?
No, absolutely not. Perfection is not attainable at all. Actually, you will drive yourself crazy trying to be perfect. You know, we actually gain strength from accepting our weaknesses and seeing our flaws, and we become more relatable to others when they see that we're flawed as well.
And that leads you to the speaker.
Yes.
So what is your role in that in speaking as far as, on a stage and obviously in some events, hopefully see you soon speaking. Have you spoken before in the public?
Absolutely. I've spoken at schools, and mainly in Georgia, where I'm originally from. I've spoken I'm currently active duty military, so I've spoken at the military base where I do personal development, mentorship, and educational courses for personnel on the base. And I have a passion for speaking. I have a passion for educating. I have a passion for helping people become better.
I can feel it. I can feel it. Tell me why.
Because I believe that all of us everybody is naturally good, I believe. Everybody is naturally good. But I believe that a lot of times we get ourselves into trouble with the decisions that we make, because life is going to hand us some hard times. But we create so many of those hard times for ourselves through the decisions that we make, because of the outlook we have on ourselves, and the outlook that we have for ourselves ultimately becomes the outlook that we have for life and the world itself.
But isn't that a little complex?
I don't think it's necessarily complex. I think that when we look at, if we're able to look within ourselves and clean up and declutter what's going on inside of ourselves and understand ourselves better, then everything else out in the world becomes a lot easier. So
how do you propose that we can do that? Let's tell the audience on how can you look inside yourself and accept and embrace your weaknesses for making you better. How do you do it?
Well, I have a vision of the man that I want to be. I want the man that I want the world to see me as.
So it begins with a vision.
It begins with a vision, absolutely. Everything begins with a vision of who you believe yourself to be. And if you have to do daily accountability, self-accountability, and determine whether or not you are actually meeting your own perception of yourself.
You are right. How do you do that with yourself?
Well,
give me some insight so I can.
Okay. Well, I think about the things that are important for me. For example, one of the most important things for me is to be a good father. You know, I love my children, and I want my children to know that they're loved and to know that their father has their best interests at heart. And so daily, I take a look at myself. And I told you that when I wake up, one of the things I'm thankful for is my children. You know?
So you get up and you think of your children.
I think of my children.
And then you do what?
And after I get up and I do my gratitude, I meditate.
You meditate. I am trying so hard, by the way, because you seem...
It's a process.
It's a process, and it takes the mind to be still.
Oh, yeah.
And my mind runs a little faster than... What tip do you have for me, and how can I get my mind to be a little more still and apply the meditation, which obviously helps you to be better?
Well, when you're doing your meditation, you start out small. You can start out with 5-10 minutes, and when you're doing the meditation, just focus on your breathing. Where thoughts are going to come, especially starting out, thoughts are going to fly through your mind. Thoughts are going to fly through your mind. And don't think, oh crap, I'm thinking about stuff. I'm not supposed to be thinking about anything. Well, let that go. Forgive yourself, move on, continue to think about your breathing. And next thing you know, the time will go by like that.
Wow.
And so that's 5-10 minutes. And yes, you've had thoughts that have come through your mind, but you'll find yourself more relaxed. You were able to bring yourself back to focusing on your breathing, and it'll still your mind. It'll help.
How do you find balance with all of this, N.M. Davis, if I can call you a name as far as...
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you find balance between the writing, the kids, the work, everything you're saying that's such disciplinary in being a better, because it takes some discipline and some decisions, which kind of goes against what we want. True?
Right. Right.
How do you do that?
Naturally, well, it's self-management. You know, like you said, you have to have discipline. And a lot of people like to say time management, but and you can't manage time. Really,
I agree with you. Time is not manageable.
Right. You can't. You can only manage what you can manipulate. Right. You can't manipulate time.
Right.
You can only manage yourself within the time that you have. Right. So once you learn how to control yourself, turn off the TV, put the phone down, and decide, hey, I'm going to spend a certain amount of time on this.
Be present.
I'm going to be present where I am in this moment, right? And so let's say, for instance, you're going to spend some time with your son, right? You decide that I'm putting my phone away, I'm turning off the television. Me and Gavin, we're going to sit down and we're going to read one of the poems and poems of value.
No, does equate of quality time versus, because like with me, in my case, I like to have quality time, even if it's half an hour, that's a bond, that's connected, present, than have a whole day being around my kid, or what is not really connecting. You're there, but you're not there.
Absolutely, and they can feel
How do you feel that? How is that a balanced approach that you...
It is definitely a balanced approach.
Quality over time versus quantity over time.
Yeah, absolutely. Your children definitely need to feel like you are there. And that's what this book does. This book draws the parent and the child into the topic that they're dealing with, and they can discuss the picture. Well, what do you think this picture says about it? And they can say, well, the picture may be complicated. For example, the poem Feelings. It's an abstract drawing done by a 5-year-old, and the child said that the picture looks complicated. Well, feelings are complicated, right? And that's what the poem talks about, how your feelings can be complicated, and you should have a clear understanding of what you're feeling before you make decisions and before you act upon your feelings.
How long should you give between when you have an emotional moment and make a decision Like, how do you do it? Do you give yourself some time to process and wait a day or a few hours or a few minutes? It's an interesting, because a lot of people get to become reactive and let that feeling determine the decision. Instead, the rationale behind of it. How do you recommend?
Well, I think it's different for everyone. I think everyone's different on how they make decisions and how much time they need to process what's going on. You know, for me, I like to take my time, because I feel
how long do you take?
Slow. For example.
So like if you have an argument with your wife or with your kid.
I'm not married.
Okay. So you have a dynamic where it's a little heated.
Right.
Well, how long do you usually take?
Well, for me, I don't get upset easily. But when I do get
What's
upset.
What's the secret of that?
I would. I'm reading a book right now, but I think for me is that I have to have stake in it. I get upset about things that I have a huge stake in, or things that I really care about. And then, not to say that I don't care about a lot of things, but if it's not going to personally affect me, then it's just let it roll off my shoulders. But it usually takes me, if I need to cool down, I'll take 30 minutes. You know, I will
fast.
I'll go into a different room and I will meditate and focus on my breathing and count to 10 and let myself relax and think about, how is this really going to affect me? And if it's something that's not really going to affect me, something that's not going to affect my children or the things that I really care about in life, then I let it go and I move on.
Okay, wow, that's very valuable technique that I hope it gets more applicable by you guys if you struggle with moments like that. So, writer, which is obviously a creative side of it.
Yes.
Looks like you have it. Author at the same time, speaker, educator now.
Yes.
What do you like to educate about?
So I'm still in the military, but being in the military, I used to be a military instructor, and I taught the job to new recruits that were coming into the military. And I loved seeing the light bulb go off in their head when they understood something. And I fell in love with that. And with the fact that I don't mind getting up in front of people, I have a passion for speaking in front of people. I love to teach. You know, I love to see that light bulb go off in people's head. I love to see them grasp and understand new ideas that are going to help them become the best versions of themselves. So
that's wonderful that you have that patience.
It is. You definitely have to have patience.
Well, patience, it's a skill that it's requiring quite a bit of well, you tell me. What does require to gain a good amount of patience? That was a hard question right there.
You talk about a loaded question, but I was going to say it takes patience to gain patience, right? But
that's a good one. It takes patience to get patience, guys.
Yes,
that's a really good one.
If you find yourself having a hard time gaining patience, then just go off to yourself. Find a way to be alone. Find a way to be alone with yourself. And if you can find a way to be alone with yourself and be patient with yourself, then it'll be easier to be patient with others.
Thank you for that valuable. So when do we expect the new books, you think, now?
So
without applying the perfection on it.
Without applying the perfection. And I think that's one of the issues that I'm having with Always Be Becoming right now is
see, I'm pushing you to give you a vision of where.
Right.
What? Accountability.
Absolutely. You know, I have to be accountable to myself, because as I've been working on Always Be Becoming and perfection, I find myself going back and editing and re-editing and constantly editing. You get into this endless cycle of editing and you never put it out. So I initially was shooting for the beginning of September for Always Be Becoming, but there's more revisions, not to perfect it, but to make it a better product. So now I'm looking at November timeframe.
So you do
you
do put a lot of time and effort into making sure that the message is clear to everybody that's in the hand of this book or future books.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
It's very important that your readers understand what you're saying and that they can grasp it. And of course, like Poems of Value is targeted for children, but adults and older teens can also take something from it. So you want it to be able to hit your target audience, but also be able to draw in others. And that's what I'm working on with Always Be Becoming. That's why I have to go back and revise that to make sure that everybody is understanding the messages that are in it.
Do you feel like in the society we live today, it's missing what?
Today's society, I believe, is definitely missing compassion. I believe that today's society is missing compassion because everybody is go, and everything moves so fast, and we don't take the time to sit back and enjoy each other and understand each other. And I think that if we can sit back, take the time to understand each other and enjoy each other, that we'll have more compassion for each other.
That's a good way of looking at it. Thank you very much. Now, where the audience can follow you and find more about you?
Okay, so you can find me on Facebook as N.M. Davis Jr., and you can always also find me on IG as N.M. Davis Jr. and my Amended Minds page on Facebook and Instagram.
And with that being said, thank you so much for the, I don't even have the words to speak on how much value you provided to us and me, because I learned every interview that I have, I learned so much, and I try to apply. So this is very helpful for me, what you provided. I'm super excited to finish and get Gavin to finish this book because I feel like we have to push our children more towards, still I believe into the concept of a book copy.
Yeah, absolutely.
I believe that this will, as much as we go digital, there's still value that I believe will never go away.
Absolutely.
And you seem to have a passion for it. So I wish you good luck. And hey, we're here for you to support you. If there's anything else we can do for you, let us know.
Thank you so
Everyone,
much for having me.
Please engage us, share with somebody that may need to hear this. If you know somebody out there that are struggling with some of the topics that we talked, and let's support each other and get better. Thank you again for being here, and thank you for putting so much effort into helping us to be a better version of ourselves.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it, and I'm forever grateful. Thank you.
And we're signing off from AB+Production. Stay grateful. Have a wonderful week ahead, and be kind.